Every Wednesday, Chad Durbin, talking Major League Baseball, 13-year pro. Played for it twice, won a title with the Phillies back in '08 with us every Wednesday morning here on Off the Bench. Good morning, how are you?
Hey, good morning.
Was it targeting or not?
No, I don't think it was targeted.
Perfect. Sweet.
I think if the crown of the helmet was involved or if I felt like he was malicious in his intent, it looked like he was aware of everything, put his hands up, and, I just think that it could be reviewed. If he gets punished for that first half like he's going to and we missed out, there needs to be a new precedent set afterwards that the protocol is different.
Game last time it's been played in Baton Rouge, been decided from under 10 points. You think it's close next Saturday night?
I think if it's close through the first half, if we keep it within 7 to 10, I think the second half with Devin White in the crowd and everything else, Tua having to play into the fourth quarter for the first time this year, I think there might be some interesting situations kick up.
Chad Durbin talks to us about baseball every week here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, down in New Orleans on 100.3 ESPN Radio. 8-4 winners last night for the Sox. The thing got going early with Benintendi's double. Seemed like it got the Fenway faithful going. What'd you make of Game 1?
I suspected that Sale and Kershaw, who are two of the best pitchers in this generation, that they weren't going to be able to go out because neither one of them are 100%. They're not at the top of their games, and they haven't been for a little while. I kind of figured that it was going to be a 5-4, 6-4 type game, and it might have been had Nunez not ran into a ball. They made a change, and I think it was the fifth or sixth inning, and Baez came in to face a couple righties in a big situation, and so they brought in the lefty to face Devers, who's their 22-year-old kid for Boston. And the Wood came in, flipped a slider, and it's not a bad pitch. But in Fenway, with the short porch and all that stuff, a righty can just kind of get underneath the ball. And he ran into one, and it ended up making it a 4-run game.
Derbs, how do you bounce back from a Game 1 loss if you're the Dodgers on this stage?
You have to win Game 2. That's kind of – you want to split on the road. You want to split that first game of a 7-game first 2 games of the 7-game series so that the balance of power kind of goes back to you become, if you play 7 games, you're going to get 3 and the other team's going to get 2, and you become, the bearer of home field advantage.
And then Clayton Kershaw last night, Derb, struggles again. It's not that he's always been bad in the playoffs, but he is inconsistent. It seems like it's kind of feast or famine in the playoffs with him. Is that a legitimate thing with players where when the stage gets bigger, they just don't play like themselves?
I think it's a combination of that. A lot of his numbers in the playoffs, when he was a rookie, our 08 and 09 teams faced him. So some of his numbers, he ran into some pretty good offenses early on. So when you do look at postseason numbers and you look at it in aggregate, it doesn't tell the whole story, but the way he's going out right now, he's trying completely to change the way he pitches. He's not throwing 94 to 97 anymore. His breaking ball's still great. He's developed his slider cutter more, but he's not the same pitcher he was 6-7 years ago or even 2 years ago. Maybe he gets back into this is a long season for these guys. Back to back years he's been in the playoffs. So he kept them in the game. And that's all you really want in this situation. Both offenses are capable of putting up crooked numbers. So it was a close game when he left, and it ended up being 8-4. It is what it is. Got to win Game 2.
Derbs, we speak so much in absolutes when talking about football games and even basketball games to a degree, but this is a series format. And last night, whether you're the Dodgers or whether you're the Red Sox, you throw your ace. Tonight, David Price going to go for Boston. But just explain the mentality as a competitor in a series format type structure in being able to kind of get it up yesterday, and then whether you win or lose, you got to come back and get right back to the table today.
Well, usually you're running out a lot of the same lineups over and over again in my experience, but these managers and I guess the depth of roster, you look at the way that they threw their lineup out. The Red Sox went out and they kept a couple lefties in there against Kershaw, but the Dodgers went out and ran all their righties out there. And I guess you want to get your guys out there and give them the best chance to win. But what it does later on in the game, it doesn't allow you the same matchups when they're running their relievers out there. And I think that was the case yesterday. I think Cora kind of outmanaged and did a really good job. And it helps for you when you're a manager to have one guy run into a ball and you look like you're the genius. One guy runs into it for Roberts and it looks like he's a genius. So what it is now is the importance of this game. You may see relievers throw longer and get more extended in game 2 for the Dodgers, whereas the Red Sox don't necessarily have to extend their team as much. You want to step on their throats if you get a chance, but if you're down 2 runs, you're not trying to hold on to it like it matters. I mean, 2-0 in a series, your percentages go down significantly. So you do manage differently going into these games.
Does October baseball set you for this stage? I mean, like the first time you saw the World Series, the first time you played in it, had your name called or heard the national anthem played on that stage, I mean, did it feel different than the divisional and championship series?
It's completely different. It feels like every pitch is like it taxes you mentally, emotionally, and physically like it's 10 pitches. And because there's an entire city on your back, your teammates need every out they can get. If you give up 1 run instead of 3 in a situation, it's a win. And that's just the way you got to put your numbers. Like Kershaw's numbers don't matter. Wins matter. Like Sale said it, there's no such thing as an ugly win in these scenarios. And that's got to be the attitude. Just hold the rope. If we win 21-20, great. If we win 1-0, great. It doesn't matter. But the feel of it, managing, you don't go with the same matchups. I didn't pitch as much in the World Series because I don't throw 97. You get into these matchups, you want the big arms that can get the strikeout, not the potential ground ball double play. You just don't manage the same. You mitigate risk better.
So is advantage tonight Red Sox or Dodgers? Just when you look at the stage, Dodgers going to throw Rue and Red Sox going to throw Price. I mean, everybody looks at the pitching matchup, but do you look at, since last night Boston got game 1, advantage Dodgers today?
No, I think Boston wins this game. I think Boston wins it in 6. I kind of said it earlier, didn't get to say it on here, but I feel like if Boston does win this game, LA is going to win a couple games in a row, or at least 2 of 3, and it'll come back to Boston. But I really feel like Price kind of found something, some confidence, and for guys like that are that good, confidence goes a long, long way. Rio's really good, but I just don't think that Boston lineup, Jackie Bradley Jr., and this goes for anybody out there that's listening that has to talk to parents about a kid hitting in the 9-hole on a youth team. Jackie Bradley Jr. is hitting 9 for the Boston Red Sox and won the ALCS MVP. That's how good their lineup is, and he owns it. Like, he's not complaining to the media or anywhere. He's just going out and doing his job, and that's how their lineup is. There are no easy outs. It is a grind watching it. I get sweaty palms watching their lineup. You're just like, how are we going to get this next guy out? I can't pitch around this dude because there's a potential MVP on deck. And it just wears you thin as a pitcher and as pitching staff and as a manager. And that's the advantage the Boston Red Sox have had all year.
Do the Dodgers have the bullpen to compete?
I think they do when they're in the lead. I don't know if they have the depth to be able to hold a team to a 1-run, 2-run lead. Meaning the Red Sox are up 2. That was always the key with us with Philly. Utley and Jimmy Rollins, they'd say, hey, man, we're down 2, just hold it there. We'll score runs. But if it's 4 or 5 runs, I don't know if we can do that every night. But you hold it to 1 or 2 runs, we can take that gap and we can turn it over. And that momentum in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning is huge. So I don't think that they can hold a team to a 2-run deficit, the Dodgers being down, as well as they can if they get up.
I didn't prep you for this, so I apologize. You know anything about Will Reese, the pitcher that Will Wade just picked up for the basketball team?
I don't. I need to do some homework.
Yes. Got one, an athlete. I think this is Maneri. This is some of the disadvantages of having a really good roster is you have to clean it up and you got to get to that number 30. We've seen him run a couple of veterans and ask some guys to go play some other spots, and I think Reese is one of those casualties, somebody that they brought in from a small high school in Louisiana, thought he could be an athlete that could develop into the pitching staff, but, it was the way that the recruiting classes have worked out the last 2 cycles, just not enough spots, and Maneri makes the call to Will Wade, and Wade has him on the roster. He played a couple of minutes in the scrimmage on Sunday, and, one of those athletes. Ben McDonald, I think, is the great example that everybody could reference around here, a guy that played 2 sports, basketball and baseball, during his days in Baton Rouge.
I can tell you from a recruiting standpoint, in talking to guys from Skip to Paul and all the guys in between, when you get to go see a guy play his second sport and have to grind it out a little bit more, maybe show a little more dog in him, and whether it's getting dunked on a basketball court or it's football, and you're looking at this kid and you're saying, hey, he is competing his butt off. I know when he gets the ball on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday for me that he's going to be able to take a punch on the chin and just keep coming. And I think that's what separates athletes is when that you play just one sport and you're really good at it, you never really get hit the same way you would if you're playing that secondary sport and you get exposed a little bit.
Always appreciate the insight. Thanks, Derbs.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Later,
Chad
brother.
Durbin every Wednesday talking a little Major League Baseball with us here. We'll be back in close.